The camera opens inside a vast military training compound where the sound of footsteps and shouted commands echoes across the concrete. The new female recruit steps into the simulation hall wearing the standard uniform, her expression calm yet focused, carrying the kind of confidence that comes only from endless discipline. Around her, other cadets glance in her direction, some curious, some doubtful, a few whispering about the new face who arrived without any introduction. No one knows her background, her capabilities, or the reason the instructors seem to watch her with unusual interest. For the cadets, she is just another newcomer. For the instructors, she is something else entirely. The training exercise begins with a scenario involving hand-to-hand engagement. The cadets form circles, practicing controlled strikes on padded dummies. The new recruit enters her group, watching carefully. A tall cadet, known for his ego and impatience, steps forward and smirks, deciding she would be the perfect person to test. He signals the others, and they all subtly form a closed ring around her. She notices but remains still. The lead cadet pulls out a rubber training knife designed to simulate real close-quarters combat. The others grin, expecting to intimidate her. Without speaking, the lead cadet lunges and slashes horizontally, cutting a long scratch across the fabric of her uniform. The room goes silent, watching closely. The knife doesn't harm her, but the act is enough to provoke a reaction. Instead, she simply exhales slowly. The cadet raises the knife again for another slash. But this time, before the rubber blade even reaches her, she moves. Her hand snaps upward, locking his wrist at an angle that forces him to bend. The cadets around her freeze. She twists, not violently but with perfect precision, making him drop the knife instantly. It clatters to the floor. She steps back and he stumbles forward, stunned and embarrassed. The other cadets exchange looks of disbelief. No one expected the new recruit to move with such calculated speed. An instructor across the hall notices the commotion and walks over. He picks up the training knife and hands it to another cadet. The instructor tells the new recruit to demonstrate her defensive response again, this time against two attackers. The cadets glance at each other, realizing this is no longer a casual moment but an official test. Two volunteers step forward, ready to challenge her. The instructor signals, and the attackers move simultaneously. The first cadet attacks with a downward stab, while the second charges from the side. The recruit spins slightly, traps the wrist of the first attacker with one hand, and redirects his force downward toward the ground. At the same moment, she extends her leg just enough to intercept the second attacker's momentum, sending him off balance. The watching cadets gasp. She moves like someone who has drilled these maneuvers thousands of times, not like a new trainee. The instructors whisper among themselves, exchanging knowing looks. They already understand what the others do not. She is not an ordinary recruit. She is already trained, already battle-tested, already conditioned at a level that most cadets will never reach. Yet the instructors say nothing. They want the cadets to discover the truth through observation rather than announcement. As the exercise continues, the new recruit is paired with various cadets in different scenarios. Each time, she displays exceptional control and technique. She never injures anyone, never humiliates anyone, yet she demonstrates the kind of skill that cannot be hidden. She anticipates movements before they occur, defends herself without hesitation, and executes counters with minimal effort. Rumors begin to spread quietly among the cadets. Some claim she must have prior martial arts training. Others think she served in another branch before transferring. Some believe she is a test planted by the instructors. The uncertainty only increases the tension around her. But she remains calm, moving through each exercise with the same disciplined mindset. Later in the afternoon, the most demanding scenario of the day is introduced, a simulation that mimics close-quarters combat in confined spaces. The cadets must move through a dimly lit course filled with obstacles and ambush points. Each cadet is given a helmet and a rubber training knife. The new recruit steps into the course and waits for the signal. As the buzzer sounds, she moves forward, scanning every corner with precision. An ambusher springs from behind a barrier with a stabbing motion. She sidesteps, grips his forearm, and redirects the attack into the wall before pushing him aside. Another attacker emerges from a hallway. She drops low, sweeps his legs, and moves past him without breaking rhythm. Those watching on the monitors stare, mesmerized by the fluidity of her movement. No hesitation, no uncertainty, just controlled efficiency. When she exits the course, some cadets avoid her gaze. Others look at her with newfound respect. But one cadet, the same one who slashed her uniform earlier, approaches with bitterness. He accuses her of trying to show off, claiming she made everyone else look weak. She says nothing, only looks at him with steady eyes. Before the argument can escalate, an instructor calls everyone to attention. The instructor announces that they will now begin the advanced knife retention drill, a technique typically reserved for experienced trainees. The cadets glance at one another, surprised, but no one questions the order. The instructor chooses the new recruit as the demonstration partner. The moment is tense. The lead instructor grabs a training knife and attacks with full speed, something he rarely does during demonstrations. She reacts instantly, stepping inside his attack, locking his forearm, twisting his shoulder, and trapping the weapon safely. The instructors nod. The cadets stare in awe. The lead instructor steps back and finally speaks the truth. He reveals that the recruit is not a beginner, not a transfer, and not a test. She is an active Navy SEAL assigned temporarily to the training unit as part of a classified evaluation program. The room falls silent. The cadets' expressions shift from confusion to shock. The same cadet who mocked her earlier looks down, realizing he had tried to challenge someone whose experience far surpassed his own. The instructors explain that her purpose is not to compete but to observe the unit's readiness and to help elevate their close-quarters combat proficiency. Her presence is not to intimidate but to show what mastery looks like. The training continues, but now the energy in the room has changed. Cadets who once doubted her now look to her for guidance. She demonstrates advanced techniques with patience, helping them correct their stances, fix their grip, and refine their reactions. Even the cadet who slashed her uniform earlier begins to learn from her, humbled by her skill. As the day progresses, the unit grows more unified. The cadets realize that true strength isn't about ego or dominance but about discipline, humility, and the willingness to learn. The Navy SEAL continues working with them, offering silent yet effective support. Her movements remain precise, her stance unwavering, her discipline unbreakable. As the sun sets outside the training facility, the instructors call the final assembly. They commend the unit for their progress and emphasize the importance of respect in all aspects of combat training. The Navy SEAL stands among the cadets, no longer an outsider but a respected figure within the group. The cadets acknowledge her not because of her title but because of the skill, strength, and composure she displayed. Before leaving, the instructor reminds them that real combat is not about aggression but about control. The SEAL's actions throughout the day serve as a living example of that principle. She retrieves her repaired uniform, the earlier slash now a reminder of how quickly situations can change, and how important it is to stay prepared. As she exits the training facility, the unit watches her in silence. She has changed their perspective, shifted their understanding of combat, and given them a lesson they will carry into their future deployments. The cadets look at the doorway where she disappears and realize that they had been training alongside not just a soldier but a master of her craft. Her silent strength becomes the lesson they needed, proving that true power requires no announcement. The scene closes with the cadets returning to their exercises, more focused, more disciplined, and more aware of the level they aspire to reach. Her presence remains in the room, not physically but as a standard of excellence. A reminder that mastery is measured not by boasting but by execution. The training compound echoes with new determination as the cadets push themselves harder than before, inspired by the Navy SEAL who taught them more in one day than they expected in an entire season. The video ends with the final image of the training knife resting on the table, a symbol of the moment everything changed for the unit, and the moment they realized what true skill looks like.